The insurance agent's office felt too small, too warm. I shifted uncomfortably in my chair, trying not to disturb the bandages covering the left side of my face. My sister Vanessa sat beside me, the picture of distress in her designer outfit, dabbing at perfectly made-up eyes with a monogrammed handkerchief. It was horrible, she told Mr. Davidson, the insurance investigator. I was helping Sophia style her hair for her interview, and she jerked away just as I was using the curling iron. Such a terrible accident. I stared at the potted plant in the corner, counting its leaves the way my therapist had taught me to manage anxiety. 1, 2, 3. Vanessa's voice faded into background noise as she spun her story, the same one she told the emergency room staff 3 days ago. Miss Evans, Mr. Davidson's voice cut through my counting. Sophia? Could you tell me your version of events? I touched the bandage gently, remembering the searing pain, the smell of burning flesh. The accident that happened after I'd announced I was interviewing for the museum curator position Vanessa had wanted. I moved suddenly. I repeated the practiced lie. It was my fault. Mr. Davidson's expression didn't change, but something shifted in his eyes. He opened a folder on his desk, spreading out several photographs. These are from your previous insurance claims, he said quietly. A chemical burn 2 years ago from spilled cleaning solution. Scalding from a tea accident last summer. And now this curling iron incident. Vanessa's hand found mine, squeezing too hard. A warning. Sophia's always been clumsy, she laughed, but the sound was brittle. It's kind of a family joke. Interesting, Mr. Davidson replied, pulling out more papers. Because I've been reviewing security footage from the museum where you both work. The incident seemed to coincide with some interesting timing. My heart stopped. The museum had cameras? I'd never thought. We'd always been so careful about where and when. The chemical burn occurred the day after Sophia received a promotion to senior conservator, he continued. The tea incident, right after she was chosen to lead the Renaissance exhibition. And now this, following her application for the curator position you also applied for, Ms. Evans. Vanessa's grip on my hand became painful. Are you implying something, Mr. Davidson? The burn patterns on your sister's face are perfectly straight, Ms. Evans. Consistent with deliberate application, not a jerking motion. The hospital photographs are quite clear. I closed my eyes, feeling tears leak from beneath my lashes. All these years of covering up, of protecting Vanessa, of believing that if I just worked harder, achieved less, stayed smaller, she would finally see me as a sister instead of competition. This is ridiculous. Vanessa stood up, tugging at my arm. Come on, Sophia, we're leaving. Please sit down, Ms. Evans. Mr. Davidson's voice was steel wrapped in silk. Hospital security cameras caught an interesting conversation between you and your sister before she was treated. Would you like me to play that recording? The color drained from Vanessa's face. I remembered her words in the ER parking lot. Remember what happened to Mom when she didn't stick to the story. Remember what Dad did. Family loyalty, Sophia. Always. But Mr. Davidson wasn't finished. We've also received an interesting call from your previous workplace regarding similar incidents with another employee who mysteriously resigned 3 years ago. My sister sank back into her chair, her designer outfit suddenly looking like costume armor, cracking at the seams. Sophia. Mr. Davidson turned to me, his voice gentler. We have enough evidence to deny this insurance claim. But more importantly, we have enough to involve law enforcement. The choice of how to proceed is yours. For the first time in years, I looked at my sister, really looked at her. Vanessa had always been the golden child, blessed with beauty, charm, and our parents' unconditional support. Every success I achieved threatened her position, and she'd made sure I paid for each one. It was just a little discipline. Vanessa suddenly snapped, her mask cracking completely. She needs to learn her place. In our family, there's a natural order to things. I'm the eldest. I'm supposed to achieve things first. She keeps stepping out of line. Mr. Davidson pressed a button on his desk phone. Please send in Officer Martinez. Sophia. Vanessa turned to me, her eyes wild. Tell them it was an accident. Tell them. Remember what Dad always says about family loyalty. But as the police officer entered the room, I touched my bandaged face again and thought about the real meaning of loyalty, about how family shouldn't mean fear. Mr. Davidson, I said, my voice stronger than I expected. I'd like to tell you what really happened. Not just this time, but all the others too. As I began to speak, I watched Vanessa's perfectly crafted world start to crumble. The truth, like acid, was about to burn through years of carefully constructed lies. And for the first time, I wasn't afraid of the scars it would leave. The next 48 hours unfolded like a hurricane, destroying everything familiar in its path. After my statement to Mr. Davidson and Officer Martinez, the investigation expanded rapidly. Security footage from the museum revealed a pattern that made even seasoned detectives wince. Vanessa had been careful about the camera's blind spots, but she couldn't hide everything. There were moments caught on film, her following me into empty galleries, the way I flinched whenever she approached, the calculated timing of each accident following my successes. "We've interviewed your former colleague, Jessica Porter," Detective Lang told me during our second meeting. She pushed a photograph across the table. Jessica, who had resigned 3 years ago after a series of suspicious accidents. "She's willing to testify." I remembered Jessica. She had been brilliant, rising quickly through the museum's ranks until Vanessa felt threatened. Then came the incidents, damaged artwork that was blamed on Jessica, mysterious falls, and finally, a suspicious car brake failure that convinced her to leave town. "Your sister had quite a system," Detective Lang continued. "She made sure each incident looked accidental while sending clear messages. The chemical burn after your promotion? The chemicals were from your own conservation lab. The tea scalding? It happened in the break room where you just presented your exhibition plans. The police had searched Vanessa's apartment and found her journals. Years of detailed entries, not about regret or guilt, but about strategy. She documented everything. How to make injuries look accidental, which security cameras to avoid, even how to manipulate our parents into maintaining the family's code of silence." Speaking of our parents, the reaction was exactly as I'd expected. Mother called in a fury, not about my injuries, but about the shame I was bringing to the family. "How dare you betray your sister like this?" she hissed through the phone. "After everything we've done for you." "Everything you've done," I replied, surprising myself with my calm. "You mean like the time Vanessa pushed me down the stairs and you told the doctor I was going through a clumsy phase? Or when she ruined my college art portfolio and you said it was a sign I should choose a more practical career?" Father's approach was different. He tried bargaining. He showed up at my apartment with blank checks and promises to pay for reconstructive surgery for my face if I would just be reasonable and drop the charges. "Think about Vanessa's future," he pleaded. "This will ruin her career, her reputation." "She ruined those herself," I said, closing the door on him. The museum put us both on administrative leave, but their internal investigation revealed more than anyone expected. Other employees came forward with stories of intimidation and suspicious accidents. Vanessa's campaign of terror hadn't been limited to just me and Jessica. Mr. Davidson, the insurance investigator who had first cracked the case, continued to support me through the process. He connected me with victims' advocacy groups and recommended an excellent attorney when Vanessa's lawyer tried to pressure me into a settlement. "The insurance industry sees cases like this more often than you'd think," he told me over coffee. "Family violence disguised as accidents, carefully staged for insurance claims. But your sister made one crucial mistake." "What was that?" "She got too confident. The burn pattern on your face. It was too perfect, too deliberate. She stopped trying to hide her real intent." The preliminary hearing was scheduled for next month, but the evidence was already overwhelming. Vanessa's lawyer was pushing for a plea deal, trying to avoid a trial that would expose every calculated detail of her actions. 1 week after my statement, I returned to my apartment to find a package. Inside was my old sketchbook from college, the one that had mysteriously disappeared before my art school interview. The note with it was from Jessica Porter. "Your sister gave this to me to destroy," she wrote. "I couldn't do it. I've been keeping it safe, waiting for the right time. Maybe now you can finally pursue the dreams she tried to steal." I opened the sketchbook, touching the old drawings with trembling fingers. Dreams of being an art curator, of combining my love for conservation with my passion for creation. Dreams Vanessa had systematically crushed, while pushing me towards safer roles that wouldn't compete with her ambitions. That evening, I sat at my desk and began to draw again. Bandages still on my face, but my hands steady. The museum's board had reached out, offering me the curator position once the legal proceedings were complete. They wanted to make things right. As I sketched, I thought about scars, not just the physical ones Vanessa had left, but the deeper marks of years of systematic abuse disguised as sibling rivalry. Both kinds would heal, leaving marks that would remind me not of pain, but of survival. My phone buzzed with a text from Detective Lang. Second victim from her previous workplace just came forward. Your testimony broke the dam. I looked at my reflection in the window, seeing beyond the bandages to the strength beneath. Vanessa had tried to break me, piece by piece, accident by accident. Instead, she had created evidence of her own undoing, one scar at a time. 1 year later, I stood in the museum's main gallery supervising the installation of our new exhibition, Restoration, the Art of Healing. My face had healed, leaving a faint scar that traced my jawline like a signature. I'd chosen not to have reconstructive surgery. Some marks deserve to tell their stories. Vanessa had taken a plea deal, 5 years in prison, followed by extensive probation and mandatory psychiatric treatment. The investigation had uncovered victims from every stage of her life, dating back to her college years. The pattern was always the same. Anyone she saw as competition became a target for her carefully orchestrated accidents. During the sentencing hearing, she'd finally spoken. Detective Lang visited occasionally, keeping me updated on the ongoing investigations. 3 more cases had been linked to Vanessa from her college years, each victim now finding their voice after years of silence. You know what the real tragedy is? Lang had said during her last visit. She was talented enough to succeed on her own. All that energy she spent hurting others could have built something remarkable. My phone buzzed with a message from Mr. Davidson, program implementing new screening protocols for suspicious accident patterns. Your case study made the difference. I walked through the gallery one last time before leaving, stopping at each piece. Tomorrow, the exhibition would open to the public. Critics would analyze the art, visitors would admire the restoration work, but few would know the deeper meaning behind its theme. Near the exit, I placed a small piece, my first completed artwork since college. It showed a broken mirror being rebuilt, each sharp edge transformed into something beautiful. The title card read simply, "Some scars tell stories of survival." Outside, the evening air was cool on my face. I touched my scar again, no longer hiding it behind makeup or my hair. It had become part of my story, a reminder that sometimes the worst accidents aren't accidents at all, and that the strongest family isn't always the one you're born into. My new family was different, built from supporters like Jessica, Mr. Davidson, Detective Lang, and countless others who had helped expose the truth. They had shown me that real loyalty doesn't require silence, and real love never leaves scars. As I drove home, I passed the street that led to our old family house. I didn't turn that way anymore. My path led forward, marked not by accidents and lies, but by choice and truth. Some wounds leave scars, but scars can become strength, and broken things can be restored into something even more beautiful than before.